my channel. I'm Kassiah. This is SiahSwag, and I have a new tutorial today. Yay! We are sewing up the Minerva Tote from Bagstock Designs. It is big. It is gorgeous. It is so fun to sew up. I think you're going to love it. This was a Bag of the Month Club design that was exclusive for that for a while, and now it's been released for everybody to enjoy. And it is just a great, great sew. It's huge. Like, it is a big mama. I love it. But it sewed up really easily. Nothing confusing. No crazy instructions. I feel like a beginner could be very successful at this bag. Okay, so let's go over its pieces and parts. It has these awesome zipper pockets on the front here. Look at that. They go in. You can fit a full-on phone in there. So 2 of those, and I think this panel right here would be awesome to add to the back of the bag. But instead, I just did a basic slip pocket on the back. Very basic, very simple, enough for a phone, again, to go into. I think it would be great. It is a boxed bottom, easy assembly on the body. I've got some purse feet on that. The handles, I did a bit differently than the pattern. In the pattern, the handles are directly attached to the bag. I just added connectors because I like my handles to be able to fold down. So that's totally your call, whatever you want to do. It has a full zipper closure up top. Well, a recessed zipper. And you open it up. Look at this gorgeousness. You have a pleated slip pocket here. And then I did a zipper overlay here with a zipper pocket. But it is just, I mean, big and spacious. Love it. I used foam for my interfacing on the body. I used Decaville Heavy on the base. And I did all vinyl on the outside and canvas on the inside. It was thick. Don't do that combination if you have a domestic machine. Keep it light if you're on a domestic. If you're on an industrial, go for it. Again, I'll show you just how big it is on me. I mean, it's great for traveling. My other idea too was to put a trolley pocket on the back here to slide onto your suitcase for traveling. I think that would be a great addition as well. The vinyl is from Soulful Therapy, the black. The yellow is from Your Vinyl Source. All the zipper tape and hardware is from my website and the thread. And then this amazing checkered grunge inside is from Wonderground Fabrics. Don't miss out on it. It is the coolest stuff I have ever seen. I want to buy all of it. So you better buy some before I do. I mean, look at that. It's really cool. Okay, so I'm trying to think if there's any more information you need. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos. I feel out of practice. I want to give a Patreon shout out to Tara Colson. Thank you so much. She's been a threadhead for over a year, and I appreciate all the support. My Patreon pretty much gets extra content, especially with the Sewing the States that we do. And we have some fun bag swaps and raffles and sew-alongs over there too. So if you're curious about it, check the description. I'll have it linked in there. And guys, I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I hope it's helpful. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and like and subscribe, please. I'd appreciate it. All right, let's start making this bag. Okay, let's go over the pieces for the Minerva Tote. I cut it out on an ASMR video before this one. If you care to see that, it's just me sitting there cutting all the pieces out. It's a pretty basic bag. There's not a lot of confusing parts to it. It cut out pretty quickly. I am using all vinyl on the outside, canvas and Luxe nylon on the inside for the pockets and lining. I'm only using Decaville Heavy on my base piece, and then I will interface the complete body when I'm done with foam. That's the way she has it in the pattern, so that's how I'm going to try it. Okay, so let's go over our pieces. So this one is my base piece, and I already have my feet attached I have some duct tape over them just to kind of secure them. And then that foam piece is going to go over this. So I think they should be good. 6 of those. I'm doing gunmetal hardware. It's going to be pretty, guys. Okay, so there's my base. I have got 2 contrasting vinyl exterior top A pieces. I've got 1 piece for my exterior middle, back middle F. That'll be the back of my bag. So the 2 pockets are on the front, and then the back is just 1 solid piece. I'm guessing if you wanted to do the zipper pockets on the front and the back of the tote, you could totally do that. I think it would look super cute. All right, so these are my, what are these? My main zipper closure M. I have 2 linings and 2 exterior pieces for that. This is my center C piece, exterior, front, middle. 1 vinyl piece for that. This is my exterior, front, middle, left B and D. Okay, so those are the front of the zipper pockets on the front of the bag. I am doing my handles differently on this bag. I am just going to do connectors instead of attaching the handles directly to the bag. I want my handles to be able to lay down, and the way the bag is designed, they're sewn to the bag and they kind of stand up. So I'm just changing that just a tiny bit, doing connectors with some rectangle rings, 1 inch wide. So these are 2x4 pieces that I cut out. I'll probably put a little piece of Decaville light in the middle too. I forgot to do that, so I will do that. And then I have my zipper tabs. It says to cut 4 out. I'm probably only going to use 2. I'm just going to do the exterior zipper tabs. You can do the lining ones if you want, but you can't really see up in there. And if you're worried about thickness, it cuts down on thickness. So I have 2 of those. I accidentally cut out 4. Okay, I have my lining zipper pocket pieces for my exterior front zipper. This piece F, I've got 2 of those. And these are it's just waterproof canvas, so I don't interface it. I have my handles. I haven't sewn it down, but I folded 1. It's a double-sided handle, which is really cute when it's done. So I've got 1 kind of prepped and ready to go, and then I will prep the other one on camera. So those are my handles. All right, so for my lining, I have my main body piece. This is my main lining, and you have 2 of those. They're nice and big. 2 of those. Isn't that canvas so cute? So excited. I have 2 of those. And then for my pockets, I have 2 zipper lining pieces for my pocket. I am going to do a zipper facing. I just cut this out myself. It's nice and big. It's a big pocket. So I cut that zipper facing out myself out of vinyl. It's just a 2x12 square. And then I cut out the spot in the middle for my zipper. So I'm going to do that differently. I've got my lining top. I'm doing my vinyl for that. And then I have my slip pocket piece. It's just 1 big old piece. All right, I folded it in half, but it's just 1 big old piece. That's for my slip pocket on the inside. And I think that's all my pieces. My hardware. I've got 4 zippers. Okay, there's my top main closure, my 2 pocket front pieces, exterior, and then my inside pocket piece there. My hardware, I made a zipper tassel pull for my main closure. I'm going to use a zipper end cap for my main zipper. 4 rectangle rings. Now, if you're attaching the handles to the bag, you don't need these, but I'm going to use those. I have some rivets for my handles and the connectors, and then I have some more zipper pulls for those front pockets and the inside pocket. And then, of course, my name tag. That is all the pieces we need for this cute tote. So let's get started and sew this up. So to start, I'm just going to sew down my handle. This is the first one that I kind of prepped. It's 2 different pieces. The vinyl is a little bit skinnier than the canvas, so it gives it that pop. So my canvas piece is cut 1 inch wide when it's finished. And my vinyl's just a little bit smaller. I think I cut it 1/4 of an inch total smaller than it. So here we go. I'm just going to top stitch on the vinyl side right here first. And we're just going to get these handles done. And then I'll show you the folding and prep on the second handle. All right, so when it's done, you have a really pretty handle. And you could do a second row of stitching if you wanted to. Totally up to you. So let's prep the other one. So I have my center marked and taped down the center here, and I am going to just peel that tape off and then fold my raw edges to that center line all the way down both sides. And then I'll do the same for my vinyl piece. So once those are all folded in, you're going to get another piece of double-sided tape and put it down the center. I do it down my smaller vinyl accent piece here. Just gonna put it right down the center. And then you're going to just kind of eyeball those two pieces and put them together. So I'll take the tape off. And I want to get it as centered as I can. Oh, whoops. You want that. Oh, yeah. You want the fold line to fold line facing each other, right? And your pretty sides facing out. And I'm just going to press it down. I love the two-toned handles and straps. I really think I'm going to start doing it more because I always love the end result when I do it. Okay, and my vinyl is just a little bit longer, and that was kind of on purpose, just to make sure. All right. Now, I'll just sew that down like I did my other handle. And there you go. I might put some strap ends on these. I think it might look really cute with some strap ends. But those are my two handles. There's the front, there's the back. Ooh, so pretty. All right, next step. So real quick, I'm gonna prep my connectors. I have 4 of them here. This is different than the pattern. I did a little piece of Decaville light down the middle with some tape. And I'm just gonna fold my raw edges in and sew down each side, top stitch each side. And then I'll just put those to the side for now. I just wanted to get these prepped so I didn't have to do it later. All right, those are all done. I'll just get my hardware and we'll put those on them and baste them together. I might have to cut these shorter when I attach them to the bag. I don't know because I haven't done this yet. So I gave myself a little bit of room when I cut these out, making them 4 inches long total. I may cut them down a little bit. So always give yourself extra rather than not enough. All right, there's my 4 connectors done. We're gonna work on those front zipper pockets. So I have my 2 zippers cut with the poles on. They are closing up to the top here. So that's where I want to put my zipper tabs because you want these to pull down, right? So top to bottom. So I'm going to put my zipper tabs now. Like I said, I'm just doing 1. You can totally do a front and a back, but I just didn't feel like it was necessary. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to clip that on right side down. My zipper was cut a little bit wonky right there. And then I'm going to sew those on at the seam allowance in the pattern. And then when you have both layers, you flip this up and you sew both layers together, but I don't need to do that since I just have the one. I am just going to top stitch it. And then you can trim if your zipper tab is a little bit wider than your zipper tape. You can trim that down. So that's what it should look like, and you should be closing up towards the top. I'm going to repeat for the second zipper. Sorry about that. That's my iron. Okay, so there's my 2 zippers. We are going to start with the first pocket. Now you're going to do them opposites, right? One pocket you're going to sew on this side. The other one you're sewing on this side. And instead of basting this zipper, I'm going to do some skinny 1/8 inch double-sided tape. Right along there. I'm going to take my zipper. I want to place it right sides together, lining the zipper tab up at the top. You could also trim. I'm going to trim this down just a tiny bit. I've got extra there that we just don't need because it was a big seam allowance, and it should fit with a little bit of overhang. That should be correct. Take that off. And just put this on first. Now, if you don't have double-sided tape, you baste this. Okay, I'm using just 1/8 inch double-sided tape, but if you don't, you can baste this part, which is what she has you do in the pattern. Okay, and then I'm going to put another layer of tape on that, right along that edge, and I'm going to add my lining piece. And now my lining piece, I'll sew, okay? I'm gonna just, I know I'm starting up at the top, so I unzipped my zipper a little bit. All right, so here is one of my lining pieces. I'm gonna take that right sides together, zipper sandwich in the middle, okay? This piece is bigger than your exterior piece because it needs to fold back into that pocket. And I will show you what I mean by that in just a minute. All right, now I want to sew along that. says scant 3/8. We're going to try right there. Probably should have switched to a zipper foot and trying to do it without it. Just like that. Now you want to flip that back and behind. So now we're looking at our exterior piece and your lining piece is laying flat behind it. And you want to top stitch along there. Okay, that looks good. So this should be closing up to the top. I want to flip this over now and bring this lining piece to the top of this zipper. So I'm going to put a little piece of tape along this end of my lining. Right there. Beautiful. And I'm going to fold it and meet it with the top of the zipper now. Okay, cool. So, see how it folded up like that? So that is now my pocket. Now I just want to baste along this edge up to the top here and down. All right. I think actually first I'm just going to baste the top and then go down each side so it doesn't lay funky. I'm just going to trim down this tiny little extra. I don't think it really matters that much. It's just my lining piece there to be even with the vinyl. So that is my first pocket and it works. Look, there we go. So cool. So now what I want to do is repeat, but now I'm going to be working with this side because you want the two pockets to be in the center. All right, so just make sure that you're doing it the opposite this time. So same steps, just opposite direction. Okay, I'm just going to trim this zipper tape down on each of them here. Make sure whenever you trim zipper tape that you melt those ends. All right, and now I'm going to add the center piece. This is piece C. Okay. I think I'm going to do some double-sided tape. It's my new best friend. It's just in place of clipping it on. So I want to place this centerpiece right sides together with this zipper pocket all the way down, and then I'm going to sew that on. Just like that. I'm going to sew that on here. Make sure you move that zipper pull out of the way. And then you want to flip that right side out, and then you're going to top stitch right along there. Beautiful. So now you want to take this piece and do the exact same thing on this side of your zipper. And that'll give you your big front main panel. We're going to measure that when we're done. It needs to measure a certain width when we're done. So I'll make sure, depending on what your seam allowance was around your zipper, it could be a little longer than it needs to be. So I'll trim it down if I need to. All right, so now I want to put this. Make sure both your zippers are facing up, right sides together. Just like that, and now sew that side on. Flip and top stitch. And your seam allowance is going in towards that center piece when you top stitch. That is one big, I think this tote's going to be pretty big, guys. That is one big piece. All right, I'm going to take this over to my cutting table and make sure it is the right width that I need it to be, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I have my front panel cut to the width that I need to. I probably had to cut about 3/4 off of each end, so you will have extras you need to trim off of this front zipper panel. I'm going to work on my straps now, my handles, I mean. So instead of doing the handles directly attached, I'm doing these connectors. And I need to attach those to this top panel first. So here's my center. Measurements are in the pattern as to how far apart from the center to place it. So go ahead and just make your markings for that. And then I will just baste my connectors right there. I was going to leave a little bit off, but I think I did just the right amount of connector with a rivet right there. It's going to be where it needs to be. So I'm just going to line up the edge here and baste it. Now, keep in mind the thickness of this. If you are not sewing on a industrial machine, the thickness of a vinyl connector like I have done might be too much. So you may need to use thinner material if you're doing it this way. Because you have to remember, you're still sewing this piece onto it and then top stitching. So it will get pretty thick. And I am going to put rivets so these stay in place. I'll put a rivet here and here, but I'll do that after my oil. I just oiled my machine. You can see it on my pieces. I'm going to do that after I add the foam, so I rivet it through all of that interfacing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat for the other piece, the back part of the bag here. And then we'll move on. And before I sew this, I'm just going to double check that that's correct and that they're both even, okay? You don't want your handles after you're all said and done being uneven. That would be so sad. All right, I'm gonna set that aside. Sorry for the barking dogs. I must have somebody walking in. All right. So now I'm going to take this front piece and I'm going to attach this top accent panel here. Right sides together. It should now be the same length. I will match my centers up right here and just clip it on down. And what I mean by thick, so it's going to be a little thick there where that connector is, right? Whether you have the handle or the connector. I think the handle's a little bit less material to sew through. And the connector's just a little bit thicker. So keep that in mind for your machines. Okay, now I'm going to sew that down at the seam allowance that is given to you in the pattern. So once that is on, you're going to flip this up. Your seam allowance is going to go, I think, down towards the exterior middle front, which is this zipper panel piece. So your seam allowance is going down. Your connectors or handles are going up. And now you're top stitching along this yellow piece here, which is your pockets. And this is where, because I am doing all vinyl, this is where it can get thick. I would only do all vinyl if you have an industrial. Stick to lighter materials for a lighter weight machine. I'm going to have to use a piece of vinyl here just to lift up the back of my foot. And it'll help me get over this hump where the zipper is. See how nice that helps? And then I'm going to put it under here again so it doesn't scratch and tear my vinyl. It's always good just to have a scrap piece of vinyl laying around to help your foot. I think that was one of my biggest frustrations when I first got this industrial, is that it took some adjusting foot pressure wise, and it took some knowledge as to how to work this walking foot, because I found it was tearing a lot of my vinyl when I went over seams. So just keep that in mind whenever you have layers with this walking foot. All right, that looks good. Yay! And there is that piece. So after I put on the foam, I will put a rivet here and here for those handles. So, because I don't want them flopping out like that. You could also probably sew them directly to the panel up, but I'm just going to do a rivet. And I think that will look nice. All right, so we are going to take our other top piece here and the back, exterior back middle piece F, and do the same steps. But of course, this one doesn't have a pocket or anything. I had thought it would be really cool to put a slip pocket right there. And you know what? I'll do that on the next one. It would be really cool to have a slip pocket on this side. I'm just kind of thinking about it real quick. Even if I put it right there. Just a minute. I am going to put a slip pocket on the back of this yellow middle panel of the back of my bag. I thought, why not? It's just going to be a very simple slip pocket that I'm sewing right on top of it. Nothing fancy, just marking my centers real quick. So I cut out 2 pieces of just a 7x7. Okay, front and back, lining and exterior. And I'm just going to sew these together, leave an opening, pull it through, and then, sew it on. It's going to be super easy. And then I'll have a nice little slip pocket on the back where I can slip stuff in. You could probably do a way fancier slip pocket, I'm sure. I'm positive you could. But we're just going to go simple and basic for this one. All right. Just a little bit off. That's okay. I am going to start down here at an angle, a 90-degree angle, and we are going to sew around and leave a hole and turn it out. Okay. Trim down those corners there. I'm going to turn it out. Now I could totally get all fancy and like do a slip pocket like in the actual vinyl of the backing. I could do that, but I just thought this would be the easiest and simplest way to do this first time around. And I think it'll look nice. And when we're done, it should be enough to slip a phone in easily enough. You could also do a trolley sleeve on the back of this bag for putting over luggage. That would be another good option. Really helps to have a tool to poke your corners out. Kind of saves your fingers. All right. I'm going to top stitch the top of the pocket first, and then we will attach it to the bag. All right, so that opening, I'm just lining up and clipping closed. Just like that. It's going to be very simple, and we're just going to put it right back here in the middle. I'm going to put a couple pieces of tape so it stays where I want it to. I need to find my center. Oops. My tape says, You know what? I'm also going to draw an inch up, and I think that gives me enough. That should be just at the top. Okay. There we go. All right, there. Okay, I'm just going to sew that on. Very simple back slip pocket. So now hopefully I lined that all up correctly. And we can add this top panel now, just like we did the front one. We're just going to line up those centers first, clip it all along there and sew it. Okay, so we're going to flip it, seam going down, and we're going to top stitch. Awesome. All right, so that's my back panel. We're going to attach the bottom piece to both the front and back now. We're going to attach the base to the front and back main panel. So here's my base. Here's my front zipper panel. I'm going to line up my centers, flip them right sides together, and clip that along the bottom and sew. I've got a tiny bit of overhang here from my lining from the pocket, but that's fine. That won't be in the way. So it should be about the same length because we trimmed it down, so it should match, okay? All right, we're gonna go ahead and sew this at our seam allowance. Let me double check that I'm doing that right. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, here we go. I want to flip this, and my seam allowance will be going down towards the exterior bottom piece, and I'm going to top stitch along that bottom piece through my seam allowance. You're always, when you top stitch, almost always you're stitching through whatever seam allowance you have. We had that big old piece, and now we're going to add more to it. We're going to get the back here, and now we're going to add it to the other side, okay? Flip it right sides together, line up those center seams, sew that on, and then we'll flip and top stitch. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm going to take this over to my big table and lay a piece of foam underneath it. I'm going to get some temporary adhesive spray and spray that to the back to kind of stick onto the foam where I want it to go. And then I'll bring it back to the machine and we're going to baste the foam to this big old piece here. And then we're also going to add some more top stitching through all the layers, so it kind of attaches the foam securely. And then I will put rivets through all 4 connectors here after the foam's on. And I will also add my name tag. Probably, I'm thinking right here would be a good place for it. And yeah, we'll go to that step. I have this attached to a piece of foam. I just lightly sprayed it with some temporary spray and I clipped it. It's big. This mama's big. So I am going to just baste all the edges. And then after I'm done doing that, I'm going to top stitch along the bottom again and then top stitch along this side. And I'll do it like 1/8 of an inch away from my first top stitch. I suppose you probably could do it right here too, but since I'm doing the rivets, I'm not going to. I'm just going to do it along those 2 edges. And yeah, I think that's good. All right, here we go. It's big. It's a big one, so hopefully it goes well. When I say baste, you do basting like at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and a bigger stitch length. You could do, you could probably do up to 1/4 for this basting because your seam allowance is bigger for the assembly. Totally up to you. And I'm just kind of trying to hold it all in place as I go. I do think this bag would be super cool quilted. You would have to do all the pieces individually though, I think. I don't know. I'm going to come back and go in there in just a minute. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to do a second row of top stitch right here. There we go. All done. It's all attached. I am going to take this to my big table because it'll probably be easier and trim up all of the edges, and these little corners trim out the foam. And then I'll add rivets here and here. Same place for the other one. I'll do that off camera, but I'm poking through all layers and I'll add my nameplate and then we'll go to the next step. I've got my rivets put on. I've got my name tag put on. It's all trimmed out and cut. It looks great. So now I want to finish my exterior. So I want to fold it right sides together. And the first thing we're gonna do is clip our side seams and sew those up. This is pretty much just a boxed bag. It's kind of a big bag. So what I'm gonna do first, I think is the most important thing, is to line up these seams here. Okay. So we'll line those up first. Right there, because you really want that seam to look nice on all sides. And then I will clip the rest. It's really the only one that needs to line up. Well, that's not true. This one needs to line up too. So make sure this one up top lines up. I forgot there was another seam up there. All right, all the way. And I am going to go ahead and clip the other side together as well. While I'm at it. So get that seam right there first. And this one here. Okay, your seam allowance is a pretty big seam allowance. So after we sew this, we're going to trim it down a little bit as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just sew those two seams up and then we'll box it. You want to try and lay this seam flat. Maybe I shouldn't have trimmed it so much at the bottom, but that's okay. Try and open and lay that seam flat and just box it. Okay, just like that. right, we're gonna turn this out. Let's see what we got. There is the exterior of our bag. That looks so good. All right. Yay. All right. So we will head to the inside. We'll do the zipper closure first, and then we'll do the lining pieces. I'm going to go in a little bit different order than what is in the pattern. I'm going to get my zipper closure done first. I like to get that out of the way. So here's my main zipper. I cut it a little extra long. We'll probably be trimming it down at the end. I have a marking evenly across the end where the zipper closes. Okay, here's my zipper pull closing towards that. And I'm just going to pull that apart like that. And we're going to do that 90-degree turn. So I'm going to pinch it at that line and bring that fold up to meet the teeth. And it just folds it over nicely. Now you can burn the edges to seal and stick those together, or you can baste them like I do. I'm going to baste. It's my preferred way. All right, and so I pinch and bring it up to the teeth there, right there. And I like to put a little straight pin. My pins are all crooked because they bend every time I do this, so all my pins are crooked. But they still do the job. Okay, so that's what we got. I'm gonna baste just along the edge of that zipper there. And then I just trim that even with the rest of it. And then I will melt this side of the tape as well when I'm done. I'm going to come in this side. That's it. It's pretty simple. Okay, and then I will get my lighter here and just melt those edges. Okay, that's my zipper. All right, so I have my zipper panel pieces. They are all folded evenly along the edges here. And I have one side on the right side of each of these with some 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. This is my method. She does it differently in the pattern, I believe. This is just the method I always do for mine. It's what works. It's what I'm used to. So that's what I'm going to do. So they're all folded evenly on the ends. You're going to start with an exterior piece here. I'm going to take the tape off. I like to line up where the fold ends is where I start my zipper tape, which is about 1/4 of an inch in. Okay, and then I'm just going to tape that on. And the tape is in place of basting this first step. I find that when you baste and then add the other layer, it tends to shift a little bit. But when you tape this first part and then tape the lining on top, it tends to stay more in place. All right, so right sides together, zipper down. This is the right side of my vinyl. I'm going to now unzip that and just get that out of my way. It makes it easier. And then I'm going to take my lining piece. I'm going to take the tape off of that one. Right sides together, and now I'm going to sandwich that on top of this piece. And you can always adjust your fold down here at the bottom if it's not quite even. Mine's pretty even. It all lines up nicely. So now I'm going to sew along this side with the zipper at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, all the way beginning to end. And because we used an 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape, it shouldn't be in the way of our stitching, so our needle should not get sticky. And then don't go all the way off onto the zipper tape. Stay within those 2 panel pieces when you come down here. And then we just fold those both out, right sides out here and together. And then we're going to top stitch around, well, we're going to top stitch by the zipper and then baste the other side together, okay? So it's all connected, all one piece when you're done. So I kind of just pull it. You don't really need to clip it the whole way. All right, just like that. Now I'm going to sew that all together. And I like to pull with these fingers a little bit just to, not really pull, but just adjust my pieces to make sure everything's laying flat as I go. And it's all pulled out. Now, if you're doing cotton pieces for this zipper panel, you can always take it to the iron and get it nice and creased. But since I am using vinyl and canvas, I'm just giving it a good finger press. And then down this way, I just baste it together so it's all one piece. So that's one side, all done. Looks good. So now I'm going to do the exact same steps to the other side of the panel. So I'll start with my exterior here. And here we go. And when I started, I just want to make sure that everything's lining up together here. Right there. Make sure it's all kind of even. So this one's a little bit off. Do you see that? So I'm just going to lengthen it just a little bit so it matches. Now, when this is installed in your bag, you won't really be able to tell if these two ends are a tiny bit off. So just keep that in mind too. Don't stress out too much about those lining up. Give yourself some grace with that. Okay, so now I'm going to add the lining on top, sandwich it up, and sew down. There it is. Looks good. Look how pretty that is. All right, like I said, my tail's pretty long. I'll trim it up before I put my zipper tab in at the very end, I'm sure. Hit that with the lighter. Okay, I'm gonna fold this in half. I'm gonna just mark my centers to prep it for installing it in my bag. And then we are gonna move on to the zipper pocket of the lining. I'm going to work on my zipper pocket. I'm doing it different than the pattern. I am doing a zipper overlay instead of the zipper facing and just right into the bag. I really like doing it this way, and I just cut out this zipper overlay myself. It was a simple 12 by 2 box and the middle cut out. So you can totally prep it on your own if you don't have pre-made ones. I did it all by hand. Easy peasy, guys. All right, so I'm going to place this, I think, let's do about right there, 2 inches down. That looks good to me. And then I need to find where my center is. I'm just gonna draw a chalk line. I think chalk will show up the best if I can find a chalk pin. There it is, okay. I have my centers clipped on here so I can find where my center line is. It's about right there. And then 2 down here. All right, and then I just have some tape in the middle of this piece because you do need to cut out the middle part of it, so you don't want the tape butting up right next to the edges of it. All right, just like that. And then I am gonna put a little tag. It says, "You're so golden." I thought that was cute for this bag with the yellow. Right there. Okay. Ooh, that looks pretty. I'm gonna sew around that. I'm gonna double check my bobbin real quick. We're looking okay. Looking okay. Just wasn't sure. All right. Change it out after I'm done piecing the lining. All right, so I'm going to pull my threads through because this is very contrasting thread and I want it to look pretty. So I'm not gonna back stitch when I do this. I'm just gonna go straight through and yeah, tie my threads at the end. Gonna pop this through real quick. I'm gonna go down a little bit more. Pull that thread to the back. Okay. I like to hold on to the one that is in the back so I know which one I need to tug on for the thread to pop up. So now I have all 4 of my threads through to the back here, and I'm just going to tie those into a couple of knots. And then my stitching on the front side of my bag looks really nice and clean, and I'll show you. I just take them 2 and 2 and tie them together. I'm not sure if there's a right or a wrong way to do this. I don't think there is. And then look how clean that looks. No back stitching. Beautiful. So now I'm just going to cut out this middle piece because we need to put in our zipper. So I just pull it up a little bit to get it out of the way of this opening. There it is, all ready for my zipper. So I have prepped my zipper. I put tape on each side. And then my lining pieces have tape on one end, right side up, okay? So 4 pieces of tape, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna start with one piece. I'm gonna take off the tape on the lining here. And I am leaving my zipper pocket open and my lining open, guys. So, yeah. We're doing the double turn with this bag. All right, I want my zipper... Whoops, did I take... Right side up. I want it closing towards the right to start. Usually you do the other way, but trust me. So zipper pocket up, right side up, zipper right side up, okay? I'm gonna take it and my lining piece is kind of upside down there. I'm gonna take this piece and take off this top piece of tape along here, and I'm going to put it into my opening right here, okay? So I'm gonna line her up. Try and get that nice and centered. Because now, when it's flipped right side over, my zipper will be closing to the left when I'm done. Okay, so I taped it in along the bottom edge of this zipper facing. So I'm going to just top stitch along this bottom edge, start just a tiny bit before the opening and finish just a tiny bit after. And I will pull through my threads again to try and make a nice clean box. So just along the bottom there. I'm going to flip that over and pull those threads through. It's hard seeing the black on the black. All right, so now I want to fold this down. Give it a nice good crease because that's going to be going down. And I want to fit this piece onto my zipper facing or my zipper overlay. So many different words and terms. Okay, so I'm just going to very carefully press that on the tape and get it fitted nice and even. Looks good. All right. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. All right. And then I'm just laying my lining piece on the top edge of that zipper. So I'm going to take off the tape and get it even and lay it on the top part of the zipper. And that's it. So you're not fighting with it laying down smoothly, ironing it. It just all pieces together really nicely. So now I'm going to start here. I'm going to go down, across, and back up and finish out my box. And then I will pull through those threads and tie, and it should look nice and even. Okay, looks good. All right, pull through and tie. Maybe. Now one side is longer than the other, so I'm just going to trim that down. And then I am leaving the pocket open, so I'm just going to fold this down here. Okay, now I'm going to close up the sides of the pocket. All right, pocket all done. It's pretty. You could even put another pocket on this side. It's such a big bag. I bet you could do like another little slip pocket here if you wanted. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay, let's head to the slip pocket. I have my big slip pocket piece here. I have folded both top and bottom edges at 1/4 inch down, and they have tape on them. I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it right sides together. And this is those folded finished edges here. And I'm going to sew down each side. We're making a pleated pocket. I like the looks of pleated pockets. I think they look cool. All right, so we're just going to sew down these two sides. All right, and then we're going to turn them right side out. I'm just trimming down these little corners. It'll make it lay nicer. Give that a nice crease there. Get your corners out. All right. Looks good. Now you're going to top stitch both top and bottom. of those pieces. I'm just going to do my top first and make sure it's nice and lined up where that fold is. Okay, top stitch that, right? Top and bottom. Top stitch along both edges. Okay, here we go. I'm going to find the center of my pocket. Just going to fold it in half. I want to mark the center. Can that mark it? Yeah. Okay. My ruler just broke. Isn't that sad, guys? I'm so sad about it. It's my favorite size. It's been with me from the beginning. I guess it's time to get a new one. Okay, so that's my center. I'm going to mark 1 inch to each side of that center. All right, so I have 3 lines, my center line and 2 lines to each side of it. You want to fold along that first line. You're going to fold it back just like that along that first line, and you're making your first pleat right here. You're just going to top stitch along this pleat right here on this edge. So this is the front, it's folded to the back there. So you're going to do the same thing along this other outer marking. So you're going to fold the side of it back, and we're going to top stitch along that pleat. Okay, now we're going to top stitch that. So when you're done, your pocket looks like that. It's got the 2 little, and then your center line is there. We're going to put it onto our lining piece. All right, so we're going to attach our pocket. So I have my placement marking down from the top, and I have my center line. So what I'm going to do is line this center line up. I'm not sure how well it shows up in the camera, with my center line on my piece right there and right there. I'm going to sew down that center line first. She says to do like a V shape. I'm just going to sew one line. I think my material will be okay. But you can do a V shape if you want to as well. All right, so once that's sewn down the middle, you're going to fold these in. And that's kind of your placement for your pocket, okay? Once they're folded in like that, that's where your pocket goes. I'm trying to think the best way. You're just going to have to hold it. If you can pin it, I would pin it. I can't really pin it. I'm just going to hold it into place. Could do a little tape probably. But now you want to sew along the other 3 sides. I'm just really kind of holding it. You know what? That didn't fold like I wanted it to. Right there. I folded it wrong. Just a minute. Nope. I should have checked that pleat a little bit closer. It was uneven on one side. I'm going to pick this out and we'll try again. All right, let's try this again. I have it folded to the center evenly, holding it down. Let's see what we got. Much better. There it is. Cute little pleats in it. Ooh, I love a pleated pocket. Look how cute that looks. Okay, we're going to attach our zipper panel next and yeah, go from there. All right, so I like to start with my zipper pocket. Here, I want that on the back of my bag. And so you want to match the direction of your zippers up, right? So to the left. We're going to do it right sides up, match those centers, and baste that on first. And our last pattern piece that we haven't attached, the lining top piece H. I'm going to put that on the top here. I'm just going to mark my center real quick so it lines up easy. Okay, right sides together, find that center, and now I'm sewing this on at the full seam allowance. Which is, yes, okay. Okay, we're going to flip both of these pieces up and top stitch along the lining part of the bag. So your seam allowance is going down towards the lining. We're top stitching through the lining and that seam allowance. Good. All right, now we're gonna add this other side. I'm gonna change my bobbin real quick. I can hear it clinking around. I want to now put the other side connected, so I'm gonna flip it out. I'm gonna take the zipper panel right side up, my lining right side up, and now I'm connecting the other side. So find your two centers and do the same exact things. We're going to base that on first, and then we'll add our top lining piece. We're getting close, guys, getting close. So exciting. All right. That's what you should be looking at, right? So now we need to add our other lining top piece. So here's that. Did I clip my centers? I don't think I did. Okay, right sides together. Line up that center. All right, so now we're going to top stitch this other side. You want to flip the lining up, or the zipper panel up, seam allowance going down towards the lining. It gets a little big at this point. You can do it. So now our zipper panel and our top pieces are attached. It's looking like the lining. All right. Now we want to sew up the sides of the bag. So we are going to start up here, and we want to clip where those seams line up here, like we did on the exterior. Just make sure those line up. When we sew, we're going to start at our normal seam allowance, and then we're going to increase it down to the bottom. That'll ensure that we don't have a baggy lining that doesn't fit very well when we're all done. So definitely remember to start at your normal and then increase it. All right. Make sure that your zipper tail is not getting caught in your seam right here when you sew this up. And then I'm leaving the bottom of this bag completely open. I am not sewing the bottom of the lining. I'm going to be, because she's thick and I did all vinyl and foam, instead of just pulling through the pocket, I'm going to pull the bag out through the lining first, pull the lining through the pocket and close the lining up, and then I'll close up the pocket. I'm doing the double closure. It's my favorite way. It just helps with getting that bag turned with ease, especially if you have arthritic or sensitive hands like I do. It just helps. So, all right. We are going to sew up the sides. Awesome. I'm going to trim just these seam allowances down a little bit. I'm not going to do it right at the top because I want the seam to lay flat nicely, putting the two layers together. All right, and that is my lining. We're going to put the two together. All right, we're going to take our exterior and put it into our lining. So I want my zipper pocket to be on the back of my bag and my zipper closing to the left. So I want to put it this way. So make sure you're matching that all up. All right, so we're gonna start here. Make sure your zipper panel is pushed down. You don't wanna get that caught in your seams when you sew this bag together. You wanna flatten those side seam allowances here. I shouldn't have trimmed the very top of my exterior so short. It would have been easier to sew it if it was still left long. That's okay. So now we just want to clip these layers together. Make sure you're pushing everything out of the way as you go. So I like to do my side seams first. And I think I'm going to take this over to my cylinder arm to finish. Might be pretty easy with that bad boy. We're going to try it. All right, all clipped, all together. I'm gonna go put black thread in my cylinder arm and we will move over to that machine to finish this up. Okay, here I am at my cylinder arm. Hopefully I've got it all threaded, all good to go. And we are going to sew up this bag. Now the most important thing about the cylinder arm, so I'm told, is to hold your threads. I need a clip. I need a clip thing right here. right. There it is. There it is. Now, I'm just going to trim my seam allowance down a little bit, and then we will turn this out. All right, I've got my seams trimmed down there. We are going to just, I mean, this is so easy because we left the entire bottom open. All we do is pull it through here. Let's see what our bag looks like real quick. I'll probably top stitch it first and then close up all of my openings. Ooh, she's pretty. Wow, that is one mama-sized tote, guys. This thing is huge. But it's super pretty. Oh, look at that on the inside. All right, I'm just gonna kind of work my seam. I'll probably reach my hand in there and kind of work this seam out and clip it, and then we'll top stitch it on the cylinder arm. All right, here we go. I've got my seam all nice and pressed where I want it and clipped, and we're going to top stitch this. So I'm gonna start just up here at the back corner, I think. All right, this is kind of a new experience for me, you guys. I haven't really played around with this machine much, so here we go. Well, guys, I just tore my vinyl after giving that whole lecture. Oh, man, I should have moved my little foot up over that seam. Dang it. I knew better. let's, whoops, hit the camera. Let's move our foot up. Let's get a scrap to put behind it. Not gonna do it this time. Work. Let's see. All right. It didn't scratch it that time, but oh, I should have lifted my foot up. Look, I forgot to do the little knob to help it walk higher, and see, tore my vinyl just on this side. I bet I could put something decorative, maybe like a little keychain clip right here, and that'll solve that. It's not the end of the world, so don't throw away a bag if that happens. But it's frustrating. That's part of the learning curve of these machines, especially the ones with walking foot and teeth on it. They tend to grab your material if you're not careful. Other than that, I mean, I would say it looks pretty dang good. That's probably the easiest time I've ever had top stitching a bag. And it went over the layers really nicely because I had some thick layers. I did all vinyl and foam, so it was pretty thick. But all in all, looks beautiful. Let's head back to the King Max to close up all of the openings. So let's open it up. I put my zipper end cap on before I forgot, just to get that out of the way. It's super easy, just screws right on there. Open it up. You're gonna open the pocket, pull out the pocket. Okay, here's my pocket. And then I'm gonna reach in and grab the bottom of the lining and just pull that through the pocket. Right there. And now we just box that up. Super easy. Save your hands. It's my favorite way to do it. So remember, we did that bigger seam allowance as we went down to the bottom. So you're gonna do that on this boxed bottom too. You're gonna sew that at that bigger seam allowance, and you're gonna box it at that bigger seam allowance, okay? So I'm gonna sew along there. I'm also just going to trim this seam down a little. It'll just help it all fit nicely into your bag if you trim this as you go too. And now you want to box these corners up. And just like that. You can nest the seams there if you want to. Doesn't really matter on these linings. Okay, I'll do this side and get that clipped. And then sew those up at that bigger seam allowance. And then I'm going to trim those down as well. And I'll push that back inside the bag, and then I will close up my pocket. Okay, we are done. All I have to do is add my handles. That is a gorgeous tote. So I'm thinking I'm going to add some strap-ins. It'll just make it look prettier. And then I'll probably do 2 rivets per thing because this is going to be a heavy bag. So I really want to make sure that, you know, they stick. So I'll do strap-ins, 2 rivets. I'll do that off camera and then we will be done. Okay, we're all done with this bag. I have attached my handles. I did 2 rivets and I did strap-ins there and there and there and there. I love it. Look at this big gorgeous thing. It is fabulous. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful. And please like and subscribe if you haven't already for more tutorials like this. And comment down below with any questions. And we'll see you next time. Bye.